Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. It's the 2 p.m. show, and yeah, these 2 p.m. shows seem to be going really well with you guys in the comments, and we've got some really good news coming in now, and that's why maybe we're a little bit late. We've got a lot of stuff to get through, and we've got a good news update, which is really good to have, especially on the afternoon show, so we can get into some discussions. We'll be talking about a report coming out from Samuel Luckhurst about Erik ten Hag wanting 4 more signings for Manchester United this summer. I think he's in dreamland with that Manchester United board, but we'll discuss who he wants. A little bit more news coming out about Benjamin Sesko, who we were talking about on the show yesterday, and he's been linked to Manchester United quite a lot at the moment, and also some news coming out a little bit around Anthony and a little bit as well around Cristiano Ronaldo, who seems to be a hot topic for Manchester United at the moment. But we're going to start with the main bit of news, which is the headline of the show, and it is coming from Samuel Luckhurst, and it's that Erik ten Hag wants 4 more signings at MUFC, 2 forwards, a midfielder, and a goalkeeper. And looking at that, I think he's right to want 4 more signings. We need more, I'd say, in that squad. But do I think he's going to get it? Absolutely not. Do I think we even would get 2 more? I think that is even be hoping too much. I generally have got it in my head now that we are only either signing a midfielder in De Jong or a forward in Anthony or Sesko. I do not think that we'll sign both. Just from the way Manchester United have operated in the transfer window, I feel like they would have already gone in for a forward at this point if they actually wanted to get one, because the money for De Jong's there, they're ready to pay. So why are you waiting for that deal if you want a forward? You could have got Anthony at the start of the window. Benjamin Sesko, you know what his price is. And I know it's all about negotiations for Manchester United and trying to get the price down. And Anthony's valuation is quite high, and we'll move on to Sesko in a minute. His valuation is too high for Manchester United, but these are the prices of the players. Why? Because you're doing it at this part in the transfer window, that is why you're not getting the players in that you want to get in. You've been too slow, and that's why the prices have risen. So either pay the price and get the signings in for Erik ten Hag, or don't get the players. I think 4 signings I think Erik ten Hag is in dreamland a little bit there, but he's got to push the board because that is what he desires. But will they deliver? I don't think so. Not on 4 signings. I think it's way too late in the window for that to happen, and I just don't see the budget there either. We were speaking before the show, me and Jorty, and we were saying that if that did happen, we got in 2 forwards, a midfielder and a goalkeeper, and what the current signings would be now, it would be something like 230 million spend that we'd spend, and Manchester United just aren't going to spend that. I think we'd be lucky if we got 150 at the moment. We really would. And it's also coming out from Samuel Luckhurst as well that MUFC are also open to signing a right back, but would struggle to justify in addition without any departures. And yeah, we've heard this story multiple times. I think it's Manchester United's cop out for not going and getting what the manager needs. He clearly doesn't see Wan-Bissaka as part of his plans. Williams is injured. I also don't think he's up to a first team level at Manchester United. It's rumoured that Erik ten Hag would be interested in Dumfries. It's talked about that he wants another right back. And of course, it's talked about as well that he really is impressed by Dalot, and he's happy to work with Dalot, and he wants to develop Dalot's game. But in the season that we're about to play, where you're playing Europa League, Cups, World Cups, and Premier League games as well, and the squad is as thin as it is, you really can't go into that season with just one preferable right back. There is going to be games where he's going to have to go to Williams or Wan-Bissaka to step in for Dalot, because you just can't play him that many games, and he doesn't want to play them players because that he doesn't think that they suit his style of play, and he's already said that we can sell Wan-Bissaka and Williams. So he wants a right back, but the board is saying, sorry, Erik, you can't have one, because in order to do that, we need to sell Wan-Bissaka. And unfortunately, we can't sell Wan-Bissaka because not only are we incompetent at selling players anyway, but we bought him for 50 million and no one's going to pay near enough what we want to get him out of the club. So I think thinking about the right back situation in Dreamland, yes, we would want one, and I think we definitely need one, and I would probably go for a right back over a second goalkeeper, to be honest. You've got De Gea that rarely gets injured. You've got Heaton. Bring in a third goalkeeper from the youth team and give him a bit of experience. I don't think we need a goalkeeper as much as we would need a backup right back. So if you're going to spend the money anywhere, I would take the money from the goalkeeper and spend it on a backup right back, just so you have some squad depth. I mean, you've got left back, you've got Shaw, Malacia, Tellez, and at right back, realistically, you only really have Dalot, and then you're going to move on to Wan-Bissaka. That even in pre-season, he didn't look good enough. And he doesn't look like he's anywhere near up to speed with Erik ten Hag's style of play. You've seen him trying to work on his game, which I applaud a player for, but the professional footballers, there's only so much he can do in pre-season. And Wan-Bissaka is a defensive right back, and Ten Hag prefers fullbacks that are very good on the ball and can play forward, fast, slow in attacking football, which Wan-Bissaka struggles to do. He struggles to link up with the winger. So I think we desperately do need a backup right back. And I think Ten Hag would be very lucky if he was to get 4 new signings. And you know what? If you were to get 4 signings, 2 forwards, a midfielder, and let's see either a right back or a goalkeeper, which ones would you go for? Which players would you go for? I'd like to see people's opinions in the chat of who you would go for. So get your opinions in as well. Moving on to another quote coming out from Jack Talbot, and this is about Benjamin Sesko, a player that we've talked about quite a lot and that I'm very impressed by, and I know a lot of the chat are fond of as well. And it says, MUFC have been watching Benjamin Sesko for months. An approach could be made whereby Man United pay a percentage of the fee now and then remainder if certain clauses are met by the youngster in the coming seasons. So again, clause FC, add-ons FC, Manchester United like the look of Sesko, and to be honest with you, I think they should do anything they can to try and get Sesko, because I don't want to miss out on this player. I feel like next year, a lot more clubs will be going in for him a lot harder than us, because they'll probably be in a better position than us, the type of clubs that are going to go after him. We've already heard rumours that Real Madrid were interested in him and other top clubs. And I think Manchester United should go early on this deal and we should try and get it done. We know the price is a little bit too high for what we'd like to pay. And I agree, this player, we should be only paying 20 to 30 mil for him. He's 19. He's been playing at Salzburg. He's not had that much experience. But at the same time, with youth comes a lot of years ahead of him, years that Erik ten Hag can develop him and can mould him into the perfect number 9. And I do think he does have the attributes from watching him. Tall, quick for a tall player as well, good movement, good on the ball, great shooting ability, and also does have link-up play. And we know that what the history is at Salzburg with strikers. I'm not saying he would replicate Erling Haaland, but there is a chance there. He does look like he is ready to take the step up and be coached by the likes of Erik ten Hag, that we know he's so good at developing youth, and we know he's so good with working with attacking players as well. To me, it seems like a no-brainer, especially when we're lacking in that department. We're massively lacking in the number 9 department. Even if Ronaldo stays, we should be getting this boy in, because he's someone that you can develop. I still think he could play first team football, especially with the 5 subs this season. And I do think he could be moulded into the team. But we have lacked a number 9 with longevity for a long time. And we need someone in there. Ronaldo's 37, 38. Even if he stays, he'll probably stay till the end of this year and then move on. Martial, he's a good backup striker and also can play winger, but he's not an out-and-out number 9 that's going to score you 20 to 30 goals every season. We need a number 9 that's got some longevity in him. And I think Sesko working along, if Ronaldo stays, the likes of Ronaldo, also developing his game in the Europa League, getting some chances to adapt to the Premier League, working with Erik ten Hag, I definitely think it would be a very good option to go down. Someone young, someone fresh that Erik ten Hag can mould. So yeah, I think he would be a great player, and we've got more quotes coming out on him as well. No chance he's worth 55 mil though. No, he's not. But I think Salzburg probably playing a bit hard to get. They want them. Sorry, I've just got drought in my ear. They want them. They want that money for him because they don't want to sell him yet, and they want to make sure they don't undersell in case he does even more next season. They can get a higher price for him. But again, we bought Martial for 50 million as a young teenager. So there has been times out there where it's worth paying the money for the player. Was it worth paying the money for Martial? Some of you would say no, I think it was, but it differs as opinion, especially when it comes down to Martial. But going a little bit off topic, De Jong is leaving Barca, isn't going to pay 30 million euros. We'll move on to De Jong in a little bit. Let's just keep up with Sesko right now, because we've got a few more quotes coming out on him as well. And MUFC have held talks with the agents of Salzburg striker Benjamin Sesko. Salzburg have reported to want at least 55 million for Benjamin Sesko to consider a sale, which is way more than Manchester United would be prepared to pay. So 55 million, it is too much. But at the same time, if you want to take that risk and he's worth the talent, I would go out there and try and do a deal. I think you could get him out of Salzburg now for 35 mil. I really do, especially if Manchester United put some add-ons in there. And I think for a player that has that longevity, and if the club and Ten Hag really do believe that he's got the talent to be a great striker in the Premier League, you could be looking back on this in a few years saying, wow, I can't believe we got him for that price, and he could be worth way more. And Manchester United could have actually completed a very, very good deal. Sometimes you have to take risks in the transfer market. It could also be we pay 55 million. We have the whole media situation where we can't believe Manchester United paid 55 million for this 19-year-old from Salzburg, and then he doesn't end up being what we thought he would, and unfortunately would lose out. But some top club will come and they'll pay the money for him, and they'll pay it probably next year. I wouldn't even be surprised if someone did come in before the end of this transfer window, because he does look like a very good player, and they could potentially have someone that we'd be looking back and thinking, why didn't we do that deal? We never go for the young, talented striker. We always go for someone who's already proven and already price tag is massively bumped up. So I think sometimes it is worth the risk. And like I said, I don't think we would have to pay 55 million. I think Manchester United, if they do it cleverly, they could do a deal for cheaper than that. And I think to get him out of there for 30 mil with some add-ons, I think that's achievable. And if I was Manchester United, I would be doing this regardless if Ronaldo goes or not. Ronald Jacob says, you want to buy Sesko, what about Charlie McNeil? Why not have more confidence and focus on our academy players instead of buying from the outside? Because honestly, if I think the academy players were good enough to be playing, it's as simple as that. If the manager thought the academy players were good enough, they would be playing. They might not be good enough yet. And everyone comes through at different ages. When Greenwood came through, he was like 17. When Rashford came through, I think he was 17, 18. These players, if you're old enough, if you're good enough, you're old enough. And I feel like these players would have been coming through if they were good enough to play. We've seen Zidane Iqbal and Charlie Savage come through in the pre-season tour. And I think they might need a loan, and I think they might need some game time potentially in the Europa League, but I think they look like very promising talents, but they're not ready to play first team football now. And with Sesko, I'm not saying he's going to come in and play the number 9 straight away. I'm saying he could come in, get a few minutes with 5 subs, get some minutes in the Europa League, and really focus on becoming that number 9 that Erik ten Hag wants, with the experience around him. Denzel Dumfries news, Beth. There's not much Denzel Dumfries news. We know that Ten Hag wanted him. He was high up on the right backs list, and Erik ten Hag wants a right back, but Manchester United said you can't have one unless you sell Wan-Bissaka or Williams. So that isn't happening at the moment. But it should be done if we could actually get players out of the club that aren't going to play, which I've been banging on about for so long. Just take what you can for these players. Someone would buy Wan-Bissaka, but I'm assuming we won't let him go for anywhere near low enough than what some clubs are going to offer. Sesko is not good enough. Have you watched him? Because I've watched him. I've watched him quite a lot, actually. And I think when we've got linked to him, I've watched a lot of his games for Salzburg, and I also watched the pre-season game against Liverpool, and I think he looks very good. His stats aren't great yet, but you can see the potential there. But everyone's allowed their own opinion, as I've said. Forget Anthony's price is 100 mil. Exactly. And if we're not getting, Anthony and Sesko are different players, but if we're not going to get Anthony for 80 to 100 million euros, we're not going to do it. We need to bring in some sort of forward player, some player that a player that can play in the front three, whether that be a striker, whether that be a winger. I think we need a striker more than we need a winger. So we need someone that can come in. So we're going to have to go somewhere. And yeah, speaking about Anthony, actually, and get your comments in about Sesko down below. I can see a lot of mixed comments coming in, especially about the price. And it's coming in from Samuel Luckhurst that MUFC have not given up on Anthony, despite Ajax's 80 million, in brackets, 67 million pounds valuation. And yeah, it's what we've known for quite a while. It's what we've unfortunately come to discover happens when you don't go in and get your targets at the start of the window and you don't structure your transfer window properly. Unfortunately, now Ajax won 80 million for him, euros, and there was rumours coming out they wanted 100 million euros. I don't think they'd go that high. I think they want 80 million euros for him, and Manchester United are not going to pay that. It says they've not given up, but it's just going to be one of them where Manchester United keep coming back with valuations, and Ajax is going to say no. They did it with Sancho. Sancho, we were priced out of a move with him. Manchester United was sure we'd be able to get them down. Didn't happen, so we waited till the season after. I think it's going to be the same story with Anthony. I think Ajax, they don't play as hard ball as Dortmund do, but I still think they've sold half the team and they want to give this new manager a chance. So I doubt them letting Anthony go for less money than what they're putting out there. Not much less anyway, because they won't have time to reinvest it for the upcoming season. And they've already sold the majority of the star players. And they've just sold us Martinez and we've took the manager. So I think they'll be like, we should have come in at the start. You've already took our manager. You've already took Martinez, our player of the year. Half our team's gone. We've not got time to reinvest this money. So you either pay 80 million or you pay nothing. Manchester United will go back in. How about 50? No, we've said 80. And this is why Manchester United aren't giving up, because the same thing happened with Sancho. And I think the same thing will happen with Anthony, where we don't end up paying the money because we're priced out of a move, and we could potentially go back in for him next year at the start of the transfer window, where I think his price probably would be lower and we've got a better chance at the start of the window from getting him out of Ajax, because Ajax are a selling club. Ajax are a club that's going to sell, but they just don't want to sell all of the team in one window, which is understandable. Acid 23, City got Alvarez for 14 million. Sesko isn't worth 35. Yeah, you could say City do very good business, and 40 million for Alvarez was very, very good business. But at the same time, that's the price of it. That's the price that Salzburg are putting on him. And if we don't pay it, someone's going to come along and pay that. It's not absolutely extortionate. I think 55 million is too much, don't get me wrong. But if you're looking at paying 20 million to 30 million, I push 35. I think it's worth it if he's going to turn into the player that I think he could be. And if Ten Hag agrees to it, he obviously sees potential there as well. 40 million CR7 for Anthony. I mean, they're playing in the Champions League and Ronaldo just wants to add on to his Champions League goals to beat Messi at this point, which it's getting ridiculous at this point. We look embarrassing, but he is a Champions League club. Maybe he would go there. I don't think he would, but yeah, it would be a thought. It would be a thought. 40 mil is the most we should pay. See, everyone's got different opinions on this. I think 35 mil would, if we had to push up to that, I'd be happy with that and I would have no complaints. I think maybe we paid a little bit too much, but I think someone will come in next season and buy him. The likes of a Liverpool, Manchester City, or Real Madrid, someone that's got a better stature in the footballing world at the moment and has more to offer than we do. Just like what happened with Núñez, really. We wanted to go in for Núñez, and the amount that we would have paid for him as well. And I think he'll score goals at Liverpool, but I think he would have struggled in the Manchester United team to begin with. And we were going to go in for him, but Liverpool had more to offer. With Sesko, that could be the story next year. So I just don't want that to happen, because where we are in time, we're not a club that can go in and get a player straight away. There's other clubs that can offer more than us, which is why sometimes as well, we have to be good on our game and scout players early, which we've not managed to do. But we also have to potentially pay that little bit more just to get the players over the line. Coming out as well, moving on to the Ronaldo news, because every day it seems like we're getting Ronaldo updates and Ronaldo stories. He did put out a comment earlier, I think if any of you've seen it on Twitter and on Instagram, about the press not getting the news right. They have to use his name to get a story. The end of the day is he does want to leave. So whether it's Sporting, whether it's Atletico Madrid, whether it's Napoli, whether it's wherever, he wants to leave to score Champions League goals. That is what's coming out. Potentially other reasons about Manchester United, but that is what's happening right now. And it's coming out from James Ducker from The Telegraph that Cristiano Ronaldo is not expected to be part of Manchester United's squad that flies to Oslo ahead of the game against Atletico Madrid. And as well, coming out from Jack Talbot, due to the noise Ronaldo has made about wanting to leave, it is now thought that his position is weakened when it comes to playing next season if he ends up staying. And this news, I knew we weren't going to go to Oslo, because I think it's going to be one of them situations with Ronaldo now where, as long as the transfer window's ongoing and happening, Mendes is going to be trying to find an out for him. And Mendes is going to be trying to push and move and find a club. And while the player is pushing a club, having a transfer request in and wanting to leave, you're not going to be playing the Maya. I think he's really kind of going to kick up a fuss. Not kick up a fuss like in an unprofessional way, but I think he's not going to really want to be involved. And I think he is going to be pushing for a move while the transfer window is still open. So while it's still open, I see him maybe not even being involved in the squad. I think potentially he's a bit further behind in fitness as well because of pre-season, match fitness. He's obviously very physically fit, but match fitness, he won't be up to it. So I don't see Ronaldo being part of the squad for a few weeks at least. To be honest with you, I think Martial will be starting up front, and Cristiano Ronaldo when he gets match fit. And if he stays, then he'll be reintroduced back into the squad. But you can't really be relying on a player that's desperately wants to leave. Everybody in the dressing room knows they want to leave. There's so much news and media coming out about it. And he's also not been part of the pre-season tour, isn't flying to Oslo. It just seems like a really difficult situation right now. Would I like to have Ronaldo there? Yes, because I think he's more chance of us winning them games with him than without him. But if his mindset isn't right and he's just focused on leaving the club, then he shouldn't be part of them games. Super chat coming in saying, what about swap Wan-Bissaka for Zaha? In a dream world, but that would never happen because they're just not on the same level. Super chat again, the Ronaldo saga is ridiculous. Yeah. It's embarrassing for us. This should have been resolved ages ago with Ronaldo and Manchester United. The fact it's still ongoing. If Ronaldo told him in April and they just assumed he would stay quiet and they would force him to stay, Manchester United have gone about it in the wrong way. If Ronaldo has just kind of brought it on within the last month, I think, why wouldn't you say in April? There's got to be something there, whether it is actually the lack of ambition, whether there has been a falling out, or whether it actually is that he just doesn't want Messi to beat him, which Messi, I don't even think would beat him anyway this year. He's not going to score 15 goals in the Champions League. I mean, he could. It's Lionel Messi, but I doubt it would happen. So Ronaldo is about Ronaldo at the end of the day, and whether you accept that or not, that's how it is. Newt saying, the season is 9 days away. Our team is factually worse than last year. Just let that sink in, folks. Yeah, it is. It is worse when you look at it on paper, because we've had these players leave on freeze and we've not replaced them. We've not replaced them. And we've not replaced Pogba. And you could say Eriksen's a replacement, but he's not. You've not replaced Matic, you've not replaced Lingard. There's players that have left and we've not replaced. So we need to get players in. And yeah, I don't want the players anyway. I think it was time for them to move on. But I would have expected Manchester United to go out and replace them with better players that are more suited to Erik ten Hag and suited to the squad. I would have expected them to invest in a summer transfer window good enough for a new manager starting a rebuild project. But never get your hopes up with Manchester United, because it's always a lot lower than what you think it's going to be, no matter how low your expectations you set them. Because I didn't think we'd have an amazing season, but not a season, transfer window, but I thought it'd be better than what we've got so far. I thought it had to be with the new manager coming in. Mohit Gupta says, hi Beth, I hope you're doing well. In case we sign Sesko, will United retain Ronaldo for the season? I think it depends on whether Ronaldo wants to stay. I think Manchester United would love and is desperate to retain Ronaldo for the season, but I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, it could happen, but I'm like, if he's so adamant on leaving, Mendes will find a solution. He just will. It's whether Manchester United completely blocks the move. I just can't see what's going to happen at the moment. And like you say, the season's near. You want to know what's happening with one of your best players or your best player. But I think United and Ten Hag would desperately want to keep him. As we know, they pulled in all the big guns for the chats to convince him to stay. Looks like it hasn't worked. And it's up to Ronaldo whether he leaves or not and whether Mendes can get him a club. But yeah. And a little bit more news coming in from Jack Talbot as well. And it says the possible departure of Cristiano Ronaldo isn't relevant to whether MUFC bring another striker in. Well, that's interesting, because when we had Romano on the show, they said it depends what happens with Ronaldo on whether we start making moves for Anthony or Sesko or another striker. So you've got conflicting stories there. But if that is true and that is what's happening, I think it's probably likely that they know Ronaldo is going to leave. So that's why they're bringing out these stories. And also, I think we should be doing anyway. 3 strikers is standard for a club that wants to be competing at the top level. We've got Ronaldo, a 20-goal a season striker, Martial. You could put him, you don't know where to put him because of how inconsistent he's been. He could either have an amazing season or he could or literally not turn up. So he's not consistent enough. And then you need another player, a youth player that is going to progress and he's good enough to start competing in the first team. Sesko would be what he would be coming into the team. And that's what a standard team that's going competing needs. Reyes says, forget De Jong, go get Sesko, Diaby and Neves. See, it's easy to say that, but De Jong is better, in my opinion. And Ten Hag wants De Jong, and he's still pushing for De Jong, and the board are following what Ten Hag wants to do. So that's what's happening with the De Jong situation. And talking about the front 3, I was thinking about in the top 4, realistically, where would you rank Manchester United? Sorry, in the top 6. Where would you rank our attack in the top 6? Because it's towards the bottom end. I think the only one that has a worse forward line than us is Chelsea. If you include Ronaldo, then you could potentially say Arsenal as well. But we need to put some depth in that forward line. Yes, and a little bit more news coming in as well. Erik ten Hag, when visiting Old Trafford for the first time in May, noted how old the away dugout was closer to the tunnel. This has changed around, which has also put the home dugout closer to the Stretford end. So a little bit of interesting news. The home and away end are changing, and Ten Hag, he's making changes. He's saying what he wants, and he's putting things in place. He saw that immediately, and this is how much it's close to detail with Erik ten Hag. He saw the away end and noticed it wasn't up to standard, so told the board to change it. He's got a very, 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 he's very precise. He's got a very precise mind, and this is why he's done so well as a manager, because he's looking at all the fine details which make up the big picture. And I think all these little things in his head, and it's not just in his head, it's true, does add up to success. You need to get every little detail right. You can't just half-arse certain things. So this is just a reflection of me, of how precise Ten Hag is, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, getting your comments down below. What player would you bring in the forward line? If you had to bring in a player in the forward line, and a realistic one, don't be going for anyone like Mbappe or Neymar, because we know that's not going to happen. But out of people who've been linked to, what would you be going for? Super chat here saying it's a disgrace seeing so many people saying Ronaldo out. See, you would think this at the start of the window, and I'd be so happy if Ronaldo stayed, because I know what he's going to give us in the dressing room. I know what he's going to give us on the pitch. I know we've got more chance of winning things with a leader and a player and a mentality with that. But I also understand why people are getting fed up and why they feel embarrassed. People get upset when a player doesn't want to play for the club because they love the club so much. I'm upset that Ronaldo doesn't want to play for Manchester United after everything that's happened. But he doesn't. Whether you can move past the reasons to why he doesn't, if you understand the club and you get how under-ambitious they are, you kind of support Ronaldo and you understand why he wants to move. But also when you see that you could even potentially considering a move to Sporting, which I don't think will happen, you're like, wow, does he really not rate us that much? And it is upsetting, and you want him to stay. So people get fed up and they think that this should have happened ages ago, and they think that he's kind of leaving us in a bit of a mess. And in reality, that is what's happening. But it's whether you can just understand the reasons behind it and you think it's justifiable. Jackal says, Beth, this club is not doing good in any department in this window. Will we ever get anyone else? That's the thing. You look at the attack, we're low in the top 6. Look at the midfield, bottom. And you could even say within the top 10. And then the defence as well. We've shored it up with Martinez, you've got to have midfield and you've got to have a depth in the forward line, and we're lacking it. And I can't believe we've not signed a midfielder or a forward player yet. It's crazy. But moving on to a little bit of De Jong news, which again is a saga that I think we're all bored of by this point, but we've got to update with the news and chat about the news and what's happening. And it's coming in from Gerard Romano that Barcelona can only sign Bernardo Silva if Frenkie de Jong leaves. The City midfielder is now getting closer to signing. We knew this. This is why the news with Bernardo Silva cooled off. Bernardo Silva does want to move to Barcelona. He wants to move to Spain. He wanted to move last year, but with everything that happened with City, he didn't end up getting his move, and he had a brilliant season. What a professional he is as well. But I think De Jong is going to leave. He's going to have to. But what Barcelona needs to do is they need to pay him out. They need to pay his deferred wages. I don't know why they're scrimping and saving over 17 million when they're going out spending 60 on Rafinha, they're going spending on Lewandowski, they're going spending on Koundé. Just pay De Jong out so you can get Bernardo Silva in and you can actually sign these players up to the league. It's crazy. It's like Barcelona have just gone wild with a credit card. I don't know how they can afford it, but they clearly they are doing. They clearly have a plan. And I think Barcelona have structured this transfer window where they've got all the players in without selling De Jong, so the clubs don't know they have that money. Now, in order to sign them up, in order to get Bernardo Silva, they're going to pay potentially De Jong's wages out. We're going to get De Jong, and this could have all happened ages ago. But Barcelona wanted to get their business done first, and they strung Manchester United along because they knew that they were desperate for him, and we knew that we were going to stay in the race, and they knew that we were going to pay that money. So they've played it very well, but they've also made a mug out of us and a lot of other teams as well. Like Chelsea, they've taken 2 of Chelsea's targets. So Barcelona have played the transfer window very well to their strengths. I don't know where they're getting the money from. I know they've pulled these levers, but it's crazy. They've had the best transfer window and they're meant to be the ones that are most in debt. So, I mean, at least they're trying and doing everything for their manager. I mean, we could have pumped so much money into this transfer window with the amount of money we make revenue from our club, but we've decided not to. Take of that what you will. Are we a brand? Are we a money-making organisation? Or are we a football club? I think we know the answer to that. And finally, wrapping up the show here, it's coming down from the Ducker as again. Erik ten Hag will take a strong squad to face Atletico Madrid. He will use this match as a warm-up for his planned starting 11 against Brighton. So, news coming out there, and it's a very reliable source from the Telegraph as well. I think we knew this was going to happen, that ten Hag would play the team, a similar team to what he's going to play at Brighton, make sure everything's match fit, make sure everything's ready, iron out any mistakes before it gets to the first game of the season. And that quote coming out there makes me think potentially, you could see Eriksen and Martinez there. You could. I don't know if they've travelled. I don't know if the news is out around that yet. I'm sure if we got that news, we'd have it here with us now. But I do think we will could potentially see Martinez and Eriksen if they're planning to be part of the Brighton lineup and Ten Hag thinks they're fit enough to come in and play now. You could see him in Oslo playing it for the Atletico game. I know we spoke about that potentially they could be playing at Old Trafford with the B team just to kind of get him a little bit more match fit. But I think if Ten Hag's serious about playing them in the Brighton game, we could see them in Madrid. And I think that'd be a really good game. I think it'll be good to see how up to speed we are. We know we're not good at breaking down teams. We struggle against teams such as Atletico. So it will be good to see how much we've developed under Ten Hag in that aspect. And I'm really looking forward to watching it as well. And we'll have loads of content on here surrounding the Atletico game. But get in the comments down below. Who do you want us to sign? How many signings do you think we'll get? And what starting 11 would you like to see against Atletico Madrid? Get all your comments in down below. I'll read through them